take a look at some of the betting options you will have for the Dallas Cowboys this season to win the big one, 28-1 to win the NFC, 14-1. The division is plus 115. I believe they are your favorites. The win total set at 9. Whether or not they'll make the playoffs to make minus 170. Big favorites to make the playoffs this year. And, of course, Dak Prescott coming back from the ankle injury, 18-1 to win the MVP. Now, we're going to talk about Prescott's over-under for his passing yards prop in a minute. But everything that you had there on the board from a Dallas Cowboys perspective, which direction would you go?
I don't really like anything up there. Maybe Prescott MVP at 18-1. There might be some slight value on that because the Cowboys are such a public team, because of the narrative that if he comes back and regains the form that he showed those first 5 games before he got hurt last year in terms of his rates and efficiencies and output. Now the Cowboys need to win because they were only 2-3, I think, at that time when he was putting up 400 passing yards a game. But if he can do that again and the Cowboys win, the NFC East are one of the top 2 seeds in the NFC. I'd rather bet on that at the longer odds than the minus 170 to make the playoffs. I don't like that as much. I'd rather bet them, I think, plus 145 not to make the playoffs. But I think they're closer to the 3rd best team than the best team in that division.
So what would you bet?
Ezekiel Elliott.
There we go.
Over 9.5 rushing touchdowns. 46 TDs in 71 games, Joe. That equates to 11 in a 17-game season.
He said he's taking the season seriously, too. He said he's working out hard this year.
Now, I believe that with Zeke because I don't think Zeke loves football as much as Zeke loves making money off of football. And his standing as far as getting maybe a second big contract is slipping because his reputation is he got paid, got fat, didn't care, gets into trouble off the field, and he plays the least valuable position or most replaceable in the NFL. So I think he truly is motivated because he wants the money this year. But as long as he's motivated, that's all that really matters. Another thing that I think will boost his floor for touchdowns, he's the goal line back, not Tony Pollard, even if Pollard gets worked in. And Dak Prescott coming off an injury. Dak in his career, 24 rushing touchdowns in 5 seasons. That's almost 5 a year.
It's a strong number.
I don't think he's going to approach that this year coming off a serious leg injury. I think we'll throttle back some of his usage on the ground, feed more of that to Zeke because Zeke's already been paid. Might as well run him into the ground if you're the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Get the carries out of him. I am going to bet the Dallas Cowboys to miss the playoffs this year at plus 145. I'm surprised it's this appealing considering the team rarely makes it to the postseason. I don't see them winning the NFC East. I know the division's weak, but I like Washington, and I also think the Giants are going to be a little bit of a sleeper this year. Watch out. So that would mean the path to the postseason goes through the wild card with how deep the NFC West is, plus the rise of Atlanta, or excuse me, I should say Minnesota, to get with a team like Green Bay, et cetera, et cetera. Too much competition, they're not going to get in the playoffs. Everyone talking about Dak Prescott coming back and how much that's going to help them. Dak's a good quarterback, but they were 2-3 with Dak as the starter last year. One of those wins was a fluke against a lousy Atlanta team. Get a load of this. Take a look at this. These are the teams they beat last year. Notice anything? They all stunk. They didn't get one credible win all season. None of them. None of them. It was a down year for Minnesota. The Niners were all banged up. Philadelphia was just a disgrace. Nice tie against Cincinnati. Which is something Philadelphia and Cincinnati seem to do every 8 years when they get together. So, right there last year, they beat nobody. This is not a good football team. They were bottom 10 in almost every important metric that matters for defense. The offensive line is an issue. Mike McCarthy is not a coach I trust when it comes to game management. And I know the NFC East is down, but I'm betting them to miss the playoffs. I think this should be more of an even money proposition, to be completely honest. But Dallas is a very popular team. A lot of people will go to the window and bet them, and as a result, the bookmakers have to be ready for that. Now, we talked about it earlier. Dak Prescott's passing yardage prop, very healthy. 4,750 and a half passing yards because, God forbid, we have a tie if we land right on the number here, and no one's going to want that for a season-long bet. Remember, 17 games this season, over or under for Prescott?
I'm going to go over. Again, injury would be the only thing that really, I think, undoes his chances here. Last year, you saw it on the graphic, averaged 371 yards in 5 games. Now, that is an outlier 5-game stretch. He'll probably come down, but go look at the entire 2019 season he played. 306 passing yards per game. Now, to eclipse this threshold in a 17-game schedule, if he plays all 17 games, he would need 281 and some change passing yards. So I think there's room for error based on what he showed us at the beginning of last year, what he showed us the year prior to that. The bulk of that offense is back. Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, Zach Martin should be healthy. CeeDee Lamb, his second year. Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Zeke. Zeke can catch the ball out of the backfield. So I think this will once again be an explosive offense. The question is whether or not the defense is improved and takes them out of all those shootouts they were in last year. I think they'll be marginally better, but I still think Dallas, the team, will want to target for overs and shootouts in 2021.
Agreed. I'm playing the over as well because this is the makeup, the genetic DNA of what you get, of what you want when you are talking about a quarterback throwing for a lot of yards. The defense is no good. It's going to need to be a shootout. You drafted guys like CeeDee Lamb to go with Amari Cooper and everyone else they have like Michael Gallup because you want an explosive offense. So what are you going to do? Run, kneel, move slow? No. 279.4 yards per game is what you need to hit this number in 17 games. 7 quarterbacks on average have done that in each of the last 3 years. So it's not as if it's some really big ask. And the type of quarterbacks that do it, last year, for example, rookie Justin Herbert. What type of team did he have? Lots of good weapons,
right.
down in a lot of games, throwing for 4 quarters with a lousy defense. That's what happened. Herbert didn't even play 16 full games last season. Talented quarterback, lots of weapons, bad defense, throwing for 4 quarters. Think Jameis Winston 2 years ago. That is exactly the type of thing you need for the DNA to get there. So you and I are in agreement. We're both going with the over.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.